Okay, so hi everyone to another session of Ljubljana Talks here at IBTM World 2023 in Barcelona, and we have another amazing Ljubljana Talk ahead of us. With us, so with Gorazd, we have a new person to talk to because we've gone through a lot of conversation. Christine Renaud, CEO of Braindate.
Yes, hi.
Thank you very much for taking your time, and I want to pick your brain about Braindate first.
I can talk about Braindate. I'm ready.
Excellent.
I'm ready.
What is Braindate? Tell us more about.
So Braindates Braindate is a technology. Braindate is a web app. And what we want to do and what we do is we help people to learn from each other. We started in coffee shops. So at first it was a citizen initiative. But in 2013, the event industry got noticed that could be a good idea for places where people gather to be inspired and to learn and to meet amazing people. So we actually started working in the event industry with our first collaboration with C2 Montreal in 2013. And now we're working with hundreds of clients, helping participants at conference learn from each other and not just from the expert on stage.
And it is something that is basically, the experience is designed on the preferences of the individual, right? So the individuality as an element of the meeting's experience as such. How do you see it?
Absolutely, and we really believe that everybody has knowledge or experience to share that is valuable for other folks. So we don't embrace this notion of like the haves and have-nots of knowledge. You know, some people are experts, some people are learners. We don't embrace that definition of human beings. We really see any human being, even if they're 13 or 6 years old or 85 or 20, as people who have valuable experience and knowledge to share with other folks.
And what is your definition of learning, actually, if I ask you like that? What should be learning? Yeah.
I love this question. For me, learning is a transformation. So when you think about learning as a room full of passive people that are listening to somebody and eventually get bored and look at their phones like we all do during keynotes. So basically for me, that's not learning. Learning is something that happens when you have a burning question, you have a challenge, you have an opportunity that you want to tackle, but you're not quite the person you need to be able to overcome the challenge or tackle the opportunity. And so you need to transform yourself in order to become the person who can actually tackle a challenge or seize an opportunity. So for me, learning has to be rooted in a meaningful life.
This is actually very sustainable, what you are talking about. You actually put together definition what kind of industry we need to build up. But let me ask you a stupid question. What is for you a boring event and what is for you amazing experience?
I love your questions. A boring event for me is an event where I feel alone in a crowd of people. You know, is an event where I don't feel I belong, where I don't find meaning for me. It's an event where I don't have a sense of a community. And you mentioned that it's, for me, a boring event is an event where I feel that there's one experience created for everybody. For me, learning is collaborative. It's rooted in relationships. It is experiential. You have to be active. Like I was saying, you have to have a meaningful, problem that you're trying to solve. And it is self-directed. It's something, learning has to be something that is directed by every single human beings. It's kind of the idea that, you don't help a flower grow by pulling on it. For me, you cannot make somebody learn if they're not actually interested in that transformation.
That's such a great point you're making there. We are now at IBTM World. We are here in Barcelona. We have an amazing trade show around us. How would you implement, or let's say create an added value by using your platform in this case?
Thank you for asking. I hope that Claudia is listening. So, I think in the name of that type of show, trade show, there's something I think that is pretty that limits the perception of who we are as human beings. I really think that as human beings, we can't just postpone one part of our identity for a moment. I think we're always whole. And for me, we're never just buyers or sellers. We're always full human beings. And I truly believe that everybody wants to grow and learn. So for me, I think a challenge we have in a context like this one is that it is transactional. And we're often perceived as a networking app, which we are because we help people to build their networks. But we really don't believe that relationships are ever just transactional. You do business with people you get along with, people you trust. And that's why people still want to meet in person, post-pandemic. It's because we need to connect and to be face-to-face and to feel the other person and discuss, to feel if, okay, is this a good match? Do I trust this person? So for me, what we can add in the context of a trade show is the human component that is not transactional. But even when conversations are not per se transactional, if you love the person, if it clicks, if you're grateful for the expertise that was shared with you, for example, on a Braindate, then business happens, partnerships grow, And so for me, the trade component, I see this is working well for many folks, but I think the human connection component of it, the let's learn from people from the industry, let's leverage this moment where we gather thousands of people to make sure that they talk not just about trade, not just about buying and selling, but also about how can I grow as a professional in this industry. So this is really the portion that we can add to an event like this one.
So it's really about creating added value in this interaction.
Totally, absolutely.
Beautiful. Because you are using an app to create the dates, right? As fun as it sounds. Are you using AI behind it, or what's the technology behind it?
Yeah, we're using AI and we're growing this portion of the app. So just to make it a bit clearer, Braindate, basically anybody using Braindate in this context can share knowledge, so post a topic on the marketplace of topics, and also book Braindates to learn something with one other person or with a small group of people. So in this context, the technology is really helpful to scale something you could do on a board, on an Excel sheet for 20 people. AI, the way that we're using it right now, of course, is to help with matchmaking, is to help when you have 1,000 topics, how do you find the ones that are relevant for you? So AI is helping us to curate the experience for the participants. But a place where we're going with it, I think that is very exciting, is the biggest hurdle we have with Braindate is that oftentimes people don't think that their knowledge is valid. Oftentimes people don't know what to share. They're like, oh, I'm not an expert in anything. I don't have anything to share. So AI, with the wealth of data we have, for better or worse, that we all have out there on the web, AI can help us to actually help people to craft their Braindate topics. When they're like, I don't have anything to share, AI can help us to scrape their profiles and be like, actually, you have children, don't you? Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. So there's something about your professional life and having children and how do you navigate that. That could be a good topic. So AI can help us to propose basically topics for folks for themselves. Yeah.
So I assume your company is a serious unicorn, as far as I know, actually. So how you will scale up the business? Do you have any big plans for the Braindate, actually?
Yes. Well, the dream is for anybody that I meet on a plane to know what a Braindate is and use it to grow. Okay. So that's the plan. How we're going there. So basically, we're still supporting the event industry, and that's something we believe in. This moment, this ritual where we gather together to learn and grow is a place where we really thrive. As I mentioned, we started in coffee shops where people could go on a Braindate on a Wednesday night. So where we're going with it is going back to our community route and helping, any gatherings of members or employees to actually be able to learn from each other year long. So we're embracing the community aspect of the work, helping event communities or corporate communities or member communities to be able to learn from each other all year long.
Another question is about creativity. I feel sometimes that small children up to 6 years old, when before they enter to the school, they're really creative. I would say it's amazing when I look. The children are playing around, and then suddenly with the school system we kill this creativity. Why is that so, I would say? And how to find this inner child? If you're in creative business, you need to find it, otherwise you cannot play the game, actually. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean, for sure. I also started a learning center, so that I'm an education professional. I was trained as a teacher. I mean, I think that at the root of it, it's what I was mentioning earlier. People, humans, small humans, tall humans, old humans, and young humans live and learn by leading a meaningful life. They learn by being challenged, by being excited, by being curious, which is what happens until you're 6 years old and you're just like kind of left to your own device and figuring out your world, and you're embraced for who you are, and that curiosity and those questions and that inquisitive mind is being celebrated. And then you enter school. I homeschool my children because I want to make sure that they still have the room to play and being curious. But basically when you enter school, then there's one curriculum for everybody. And may I say that sometimes the event industry reproduced that. We were all raised in that system.
We agree fully, I think, with Gorazd.
Yeah, but it's not easy. It's not easy, and I've seen that as a teacher. Even the teachers training program, they train the teachers in the same manner as we've been educated. So when you're trying to create innovation in a context that just reproduce in itself what we're used to, it doesn't lead anywhere. But I think in the event industry, we have more room to innovate and to really embrace the unicity of every single human being, and to propose educational experiences that are innovative and are more tailored to human needs.
I mean, you've created a platform that, I guess, combines two very interesting things that are so closely linked to the meetings industry. And one is the interactionalist part, and the other, of course, is education. Because you're dealing with both as the essence of your work, how do you see, or if you see, any change of how people interact and how they educate themselves or other people before COVID and now?
I love your questions. I was just talking with the Julius that you had on the show too about that. I think what I see, I've been at this work I've been thinking about that for 20 years, that idea that people learn by leading meaningful lives. And what I see is that post-COVID, we see it in the job market, we see it. People don't want to lead lives. People don't want to postpone purpose. People don't want to postpone purpose. They want to lead purposeful and meaningful lives right now. And I think it really changes the way that employers are going about hiring and retaining people, because people will just leave if they're not happy. And for me, that has also to be recognized and embraced by the event industry, that people won't come to your event if they don't feel it's meaningful for them. And people want to be sovereign in their learning. They want to be agile in their lives. They want to lead a life of purpose. So if the learning opportunities you propose are still archaic and based on one expert talking at people for 3 days, it is not happening. People want to belong. They want to feel seen. They want to feel valued. They want to contribute. And events have to embrace those components that we encounter post-pandemic.
It's something that you touched upon there, is about the relationship between the employers. It's about, talking about the working force. As you know, everywhere in the world, they're struggling with finding people to do certain jobs. In the meetings industry, we see that there's a lack of people, especially people with knowledge. How do you see the solution, perhaps, to this through technology that you provide?
Which problem exactly? I'm sorry.
Well, the problem of perhaps motivating people to work in a certain area, but also to gain the education about it.
I think that I mentioned that a bit before, but I think that humans don't want to feel people want to feel whole at all times. They don't want to feel like, oh, now I'm a worker and then I'm a learner. I think people, when there's no growth, it's death. When there's no movement, when there's no growth, then it looks like death. And people don't want to die in their jobs anymore. People want to be stimulated. They want to feel that feel the vibrancy. They want to feel seen, like I was saying. They want to contribute. So in any jobs, people want to learn and they want to grow. They don't want to be seen as somebody who's doing a chore, who's doing a task, and they have to postpone the moment where they'll be vibrant and grow to when they're at home or when they take a class online at night. They want to see their job as a place where that job contributes to their growth. And I think that it has to be embraced as the new way that workforce will work from now on and into the future. If we're not willing to give this space for people to do a job, but also to grow as a full human being, I think those companies, they won't be able to recruit anymore.
Very interesting. Why people still use the formats which are so old school, I would say. For example, panel discussion. We created for our own purposes a booklet with I would say 200 different techniques, from open space to name it. I mean, there are so many options to create better, I would say, engagement. But still, if you ask anybody, we are doing boring panel discussions instead of open space.
We're not boring. We're not boring.
We are not now. But why so actually?
Yeah, I know.
What is happening that we are so, I would say,
yeah,
conservative?
Yeah, I have a theory about that. I think that for the longest time, event planners are trying to provide value to people. And so when you create a program with knowns, I know who's going to be there. I pretty much know what they're going to talk about. For an event planner or an educator, it's easy to think, okay, I'm providing value because I know what's going to happen. And people are paying for that, and they will be happy because this is what I'm going to provide. When we were talking about open space, it was bar camps that were big about 15 years ago, open spaces. The thing is that, a long time ago when I was young. But that's the thing is that you provide a container, but it's empty. There's nothing in there. It's a bit what we do with Braindate. It's like we provide a space that people have to fill with their own content. But what if nobody participates? What if the content is not good? What if? So that's a lot. It's a lot of risks for people that are used to organize things and know what is going to happen. Then you're creating a space and you want that space to be empty. And you hope for the best. You hope that people always do, People, when you give that space, they will use it. But for people that are not used in creating empty spaces, safe spaces for content creation by the users, by the participants, it's very scary.
Very, very good point. I totally agree. But where do you find your inspiration, actually? What is inspiration for you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn. I am very free in my mind. I don't like to feel contained. I love to explore. I love when everything is possible. I don't like no's.
Super.
So
Love it.
you ask my husband.
So you don't like comfort zone at all, actually?
I don't. I really don't. I really don't. No, but sometimes I have to rest, like everybody. Sometimes it's good to, feel like home. To feel. But for me, when we create a space for Braindates, it just, you're talking about inspiration. It's so inspiring to see when you give this space for people to share. And we talk about knowledge, but sometimes it's experience. Sometimes people talk about mourning a child. They talk about their triathlon. They talk about other things, like I was saying, because when you come to an event, you're a full human being. And yes, you want to talk about the event industry. And yes, you want to talk about, Slovenia. But you also want to talk about, my spiritual practice or my children, or you want, and not for 90% of the time, but you want to feel seen as a whole being. So for me, human beings and their idiosyncrasies are so inspiring and so beautiful.
Amazing. Well, we are almost at the end of our discussion, really interesting discussion, and we have some fire questions for
Ooh,
you.
fun. Okay.
Short ones, actually.
So I cannot talk for too long.
No, you can talk, of course. You can elaborate all the answers, actually. The first one is Facebook or TikTok. Stupid one, I know.
No.
Okay.
I don't use TikTok. So I think I have to say Facebook.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
The mountains or the sea?
The sea next to the mountains? The sea with a view on the mountains?
Fire or ice?
Oh my God.
God.
I'm doing cold plunges and sauna right now. So again, love both. Intensity. I'll choose intensity.
Walking or running?
Walking or what?
Or running.
Oh, walking.
Okay.
I love walking.
Why? Why you love walking?
I find running annoying. I get out of breath and then I cannot see anything. I love walking. I love
And really the last one, backstage or front stage?
front stage.
Front stage. Cool. Thanks a lot for being such an amazing guest.
Oh,
of
you
our
were
Ljubljana
wonderful
Talks.
hosts.
It was really interesting, and we will definitely come to your presentation tomorrow.
Please do. It's
to
after
learn
the
more,
party.
actually.
Nobody will be there. So
Yeah,
at least
we will
I'll have
come,
you
we will
both.
come, we will
Perfect.
come.
Sounds great.
Thanks again, and please stay tuned. We are coming back in 5 minutes.